Welcome to Political Update. It was at about 8 p.m. on Saturday, 12th of December 2020, when most government officials have gone home for the weekend with probably a word of thanksgiving to the Almighty for a successful week. But little did the Interim Management Committee of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, knew that their file was part of Mr. President's engagements that evening. So, he acted on it, and the outcome was the dissolution of the Kemembara Dikomo Ponde-led Interim Management Committee of the NDDC. And the Acting Executive Director of Finance, Mr. Effiong Okun Akwa, was mandated to take charge as the interim sole administrator. This development is coming after months of a controversial period of the Kemembara Dikomo Ponde-led committee. The presidency says the development became necessary as a result of the plethora of litigations and reinstating court orders issued recently against the Interim Management Committee of the NDDC by a federal high court in Abuja. The slogan of the 20-years-old NDDC is determined to make a difference, but many say the commission is determined not to make a difference, as issues of corruption, contract racketeering, and abandoned projects are common sights. But let me don't be judgmental here, because a one-time member of the Projects Monitoring Committee of the NDDC is on the wings to give an insider perspective. Meanwhile, Kano State House of Assembly has elected Amisu Ibrahim Chidara as its new speaker, following the resignation of Abdulaziz Gariba in the early hours of Tuesday, 15th of December 2020. The House has also elected new Deputy Speaker, Majority Leader, and Deputy Majority Leader. While in Ogun State, the House of Assembly has found the missing mace, the symbol of authority. But what bothers many in the mace saga is stolen in Ogun State, but found in Lagos State. Anyway, it is still within the Southwest. So stay back, because I have a rich package for you today. My name is Mie Ogede. On the political front, the Ondo State House of Assembly has lifted the suspension order placed on 4 members of the Assembly. The reinstatement of the legislators is in compliance with the judgment of an Ondo State High Court, which was upheld by an appeal court directing the reinstatement of the lawmakers. The 4 lawmakers were suspended for their refusal to sign the impeachment of the deputy governor of the state, Agbola Ajayi.
How to take into consideration the people they are representing, so that they should be shut out of governance for this long period. So, in the spirit of the season, and for being leaders and responsible leaders at that matter, we look at it, we took this decision.
The illegal and unconstitutional remover does not receive the blessing of the law.
While in Ebonyi State, the 13 local government chairmen, 171 councillors, and 64 development center coordinators have formally defected to the All Progressives Congress, APC. Their action was made official to the governor of the state, David Umahi, in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State.
To APC. All of us in the grassroots are APC. 13 local governments are in APC. All your appointees elected and our supporters, they are in APC.
We were not in APC central government. Ebonyi State was still very powerful. But we must continue to pray for our president. Remember the Buhari government. That is the government that Ebonyi State became a state. You cannot say it is under PDP, because all that you are seeing are the support Mr. President gave to all the states. Yes. And this is the product of our own.
While that was taking place in Ebonyi State, the Professional Forum of the APC was in Abuja advising the caretaker committee to see the extension of their tenure for another 6 months as a clear vote of confidence by the National Executive Committee, NEC, in their ability in keeping the party united and a stable one.
APC Professionals Forums are unanimous in the following: that we support the various decisions taken at the National Executive Committee meeting held on the 8th of December to ensure continuous unity and stability of the party. We encourage all Nigerians to seize this opportunity to register as members of our great party, especially young Nigerians who want to contribute their quota to the development of our growing democracy and our great nation.
Mr. President, on Saturday terminated the Kemebara Dikmon Ponde-led Interim Management Committee and announced Effiong as the interim sole administrator of the commission. So, with me in the studio is a former member Projects Monitoring Committee of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, Furebi Shiba Akene. You are welcome to Political Update.
Thank you very much.
And you know quite well the period of Kemebara Dikmo Ponde as the acting MD of the NDDC was more or less full of dramas. We know what happened in the National Assembly, the palliative and all that. But that is now history. What is really the problem in the NDDC that seems endless?
Well, the problem with NDDC, let me categorize it into two major dimensions. One of them is lack of invoking the legal provisions of the law, the NDDC Act of 2000. Two, the people, both the political appointees and the civil servants. Legal, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to go into the legal perspective of it. But if you look at it, all this interim management committee, forensic audit committee and all this fell under section 21 of the NDDC Act of 2000, which empowers Mr. President to appoint the Presidential Monitoring Committee. For now, they've ignored completely the Presidential Monitoring Committee. And let me read it out. That section stated like this: there is hereby established for the Commission a monitoring committee which shall consist of just a number of persons, as President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces may deem fit to appoint from the public or civil servants of the Federation. The functions of that committee: one, the monitoring committee shall monitor the management of funds of the Commission and the implementation of the projects of the Commission, and have access to the books of accounts and other records of the Commission at all times, and submit periodic reports to the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Now, it is based on this strength that the former government, after the inauguration of after coming into law of the NDC Act 2000, appointed these presidential monitoring committees. I think ours was the second one. The first one was appointed, I think, during President Obasanjo's time, and headed by Ambassador Pebo. They did their work. Then ours came in, and based on that perspective, I would say that if you look at the functions of the NDDC, as stated in the law, particularly Section 7 of the law, those operating the NDDC, I don't think they even read that law before they are operating. It's like everybody comes with his own agenda, not following what is instructed by the law. So if the law is taken into consideration, all this interim management committee, forensic audits, is the responsibility of the Presidential Monitoring Committee. Now, as you said, a former member of the Presidential Monitoring Committee, I have so much to tell because we moved in and we worked very hard.
Yes, because we know almost every part of the region is littered with uncompleted projects. Why uncompleted projects everywhere?
Yes, when we went in, based on the mandate, according to the section provided, we moved in, and NDDC was not willing to provide the records for the committee. I'm taken from authority as an insider. We wrote them several letters. Then we started from even zero, because when we got there, we hardly, maybe the previous committee, the report they submitted, we couldn't lay hands on enough of it, so we started from the scratch. Went to every project site. We prepared this template, of course, as a professional in the geoinformation industry. We prepared a template that when we go to any site, we will look at the time of arrival, time of exit, the status of the project. We took photographs. We took geographical coordinates of the point. If it is road, from the beginning to the end, we take it. At what point the road stop, and at what point the completion has gone into. We get it and get a graphic presentation of all these things. Now, when we got there, when we got into the office, we find out that after going to the site, we cannot we cannot conclude our investigation without interviewing the contractors. So we made publication from national dailies, inviting first the contractors, particularly those ones that we found wanting. And some of them, not up to 30% of the contractors listed appeared. And from their testimonies, they were warned by the management of NDDC that time that if they appear before that presidential committee, they will have themselves to blame. But these ones felt that, well, a dead man is not afraid of stinking, so let them come, and whatever that wants to happen to them should happen. So they came, and the testimonies were, in short, it is more or less like a cause for you to be a contractor to NDDC. I stand to be corrected. The facts are there. Some of them, you see that when they get the contract, till as at the time we were going, NDDC couldn't provide design for them. Some of them, they went based on the fact that maybe most of the projects are in their place, they want to complete it and get their money. They even go to take credit facilities from sometimes individuals and organizations. And after first, second, third, up to fourth certificates, they were not paid.
Okay.
So, instead, a lot of them died out of high blood pressure. I will tell you, as a result of the high blood pressure, because your creditors are disturbing you, the properties you use to take as collateral has been taken over by your creditors, and NDDC is not paying.
Okay, but I think the NDDC, this outgoing committee, upon the led committee, at least they made some little achievements. For instance, the NDDC building, if I can get that clip on, the NDDC building has been completed, and we also have one or two roads, for instance, I know of the Yenagoa Nimbe Road. Okay, if I can get that clip. The NDDC building is magnificent, but that was completed. Okay, this is one of the roads. So why would we assess the hard-going upon the led committee? Do you think at least with all the challenges they tried failing?
I wouldn't want to give any assessment because I never followed up their activities. Talking about the NDDC building, actually that building started right from the era of Ompadek, not even NDDC. That building started right from the era of Ompadek. I don't know what went wrong there. But the summary of what I want to tell you that, as I said, the appointees, political appointees, and the civil servants. If you go to NDDC and do a job, your file will miss 20 times, 30 times. File, even some of the directors, when they came, they confided in us that there are some that specialize in hiding files in that NDDC. So my advice to this man going there is to set up a file tracking and monitoring system so that people cannot be hoarding contractors and consultants' files. And when these files are missing, you trace them to one office. Nobody wants to take responsibility of a missing file. Those are some of the major problems, and they're frustrated. If you go into statistics of NDDC contractors, that those of them that are dead as a result of high blood pressure because of lack of payment of this contractor, there are very many. So the civil servants, some of them gang up, formed an empire within the NDDC. The politicians, of course, you know them when they go, I want to grab within this period, grabbing, and one, there is no clear-cut plan as per the law, provision of the law in NDDC. Section 7, Section 1, it said, formulate policies and guidelines for the development of the Niger Delta area. And I don't think they have any clear cut, because when we requested for the record, we couldn't get any. That policy, these are policy lines on the development of the Niger Delta area. B, conceive, plan, and implement in accordance with the set rules and regulations, project programs for sustainable development in the Niger Delta in the field of transportation, including roads, jetty, waterways, health, education, employment. Nothing. They don't have any plan. Look, in 2020, this is what we want to achieve. In 2021, this is what we want to achieve. Let's say a project plan, a development plan that they have over maybe a period of 3, 4, 5 years. Nothing like that. Then the records, when we requested for records, in short, they were not willing to give us this. As at then, you know, this law establishing NDDC domiciled the NDDC under the presidency directly. So when we're in this committee, we're reporting directly to Mr. President and relating with Secretary to the government of the Federation. I think it is few years ago that they now delegated this function to Minister of Niger Delta Affairs. So the legal backing of whatever is not my area, so I don't want to talk about that. And we're doing that, so it was the presidential order that made them to give us some of the records. We went in, we equally engaged the services of chartered accountancy firms to audit the accounts, and we're submitting these reports in volumes regularly to the president's office. The last set of reports we had, very many, voluminous, up to 9 volumes. While we were planning to submit, there was change of government from Goodluck Jonathan to Buhari. And we tried as much as possible to submit these reports. Then it was Babachar Lawal that was the SGF. And we couldn't reach out to him for submission, and so he couldn't meet with us. So we just handed over the volume of reports to Mr. President through the secretary of the committee, who incidentally as at then was the permanent secretary in SGF's office. And we were made to understand that those reports were not submitted to the president. So if the president doesn't see the reports, which we painstakingly went to investigate, because we saw when the contractors were invited that came, they even saw that, yes, this is the project, that this is where it stands. This is where we have all those details for them. So it is based on those reports that the president will now act whether these people are working according to the mandate given to them or not. But as we went in and what I saw, NDDC, unless now, which I don't know, but NDDC don't have any development plan for the Niger Delta region.
But now we have a new man on board, and the president, on the statement of Saturday, he specified that this current interim sole administrator, Effiong Okun, should supervise the forensic exercise that will be going on in the NDDC. What advice would you give to the committee so that they will look at areas that are of great importance, especially projects? We were made to understand about 12,000 projects are to be, carried out in this forensic exercise. So how do you think, would you advise that you continue with the abandoned projects, or the contractors should be forced to complete those projects?
Well, the thing is that if you want to force the contractors to complete this project, it builds on the committee, and it is actually reasonable enough to force the contractors to complete. But from what we saw, some contractors abandoned the project. It's a situation where somebody has done his work to an extent, NDDC has not given him design to continue to do his excavation and everything. He has not been paid for the period he has worked. Of course, you don't expect him to go and borrow more money to complete that project. So on such circumstances, if you want to force them, we say, look at where I start, look at my payment certificates, which you've not paid. And this was at so time. So for me to go back, we must review this contract in terms of the money, variation on the value and all that, because prices have. So if you can meet up those ones, but my advice to him is that, look, he should bring committed professionals. As I told you, we brought accountancy firms, firms of auditors, highly reputable firms, to audit the accounts of NDDC that time. Despite the gimmicks they were playing, these people went in. They didn't even allow them to enter their offices, the people we engaged. They refused them entering their offices. But we told the president then that, look, these are our problems. And along the line, I think they were allowed to go in there, but I don't think they even were able to give all their books. Even the bank accounts, they refused them and all those things. That is to tell you that they have skeletons in their cupboard.
Yes,
That is what
but the correct...
So for this one now, let me tell you, forensic audit. What is forensic audit in the first place? If you want to ask, what is forensic audit? It's simply a verification exercise to ascertaining a situation report on what you see on the ground, vis-a-vis the facts behind the figures, the project itself, the money involved, how much has been expended, and all those things. Now, if you bring people, I will talk in my own professional line. We need some level of geospatial data analysis information. If we now get some of these projects, you don't need to, even if you don't go to the site, we have these satellite images. You can view them, get those areas, and know the extent of work they've done. Without even some areas, forests have taken over. So what we did is, like in our monitoring committee, what we did was getting some level of geospatial data, so that anywhere at any given time you can log in. And in the office, they should set up a system with these images, so that when you go, you have a certain program, either by location or the contract title and all this. People will go and capture photographs and everything around that place, so that when you go, even in your office, you will be able to access these things. So that you bring, otherwise, forensic experts, there are a lot of loopholes people can play around with. But if you bring these people, like professional accountants, professional geoinformation managers like the surveyors, professional engineers, to ascertain the quality of materials, there must be a very serious, deliberate effort to really ascertain the quality assurance and quality control of the project they executed.
Okay. Within this period of, let's say, 20 years, if I can get the clip of Cairo, he told us that about 1.5 trillion naira has been expended. Yes, let's hear from him. Let's hear from him. He's the outgoing director of projects.
We have saved the commission. Out of the money we have paid contractors, we have saved the commission over 35 billion. We are committed. We have verified payment for 1.5 trillion. And there is no money available.
You said about 1.5 trillion. That is coming from the immediate past acting director of projects, Cairo, and he says there is no money anymore because they have cleared some of the outstanding bills. I think that is quite challenging. 1.5 trillion, and do you have such to reflect on ground in terms of projects?
Well, over the years, this is 20th year now. If you go there, the initial thing was building of secondary school buildings, even primary school buildings, supply of furniture to schools and all that. But the real thing is that NDDC should go beyond those kind of tiny local government projects. We should go for mega interstate roads, like all these erosion we're suffering from. And these are mandates specified in the execution of this thing. They are supposed to, one, be relating with even oil companies to look at oil spillage issues, the environment, and the ecological situations, and all these things. But talking about the fund and how much they paid, that is where I said we should go and look into the facts behind the figures. You mentioned these figures. How much, one, the forensic audit should equally look at. For instance, you are given a road project. What is the most probable value that road is supposed to cost by professional analysis of that project? Not that a project in its sustainable standard, considering our environment and all the variables, all the dynamics of constructing a solid road, you bring them together and see that this road of 10 kilometers passing through maybe this number of culverts and all that is supposed to be 5 billion. then the contractor value is now taking 10 billion. Is that 5 billion supposed to be the profit margin? How long that road is supposed to last and all that? But by and large, in summary, I will advise this man. Project implementation plans should be drawn from inception, from the point of conceptualization of that project to mobilization and execution. Because if you don't follow up that, and that is where a very strong quality assurance and quality control team should be set up. Because you are running a project, the contractor, the personnel is coming, they're not competent enough to handle church. The materials they are using are not tested materials. They just haphazardly do these things and call it a road, and in the next 6 months, the road has failed. You don't study the hydrogeological movement of the area to see which areas were supposed to insert culverts, which areas were supposed to get mini bridges and all that, so that the underground water movement wouldn't cause the failure of the road and all that. So you look at the then financial management, so that if you start, for instance, you have a road of 10 kilometers, and this thing is supposed to be completed in 2 years. Starting first 2 weeks, next 3 weeks, next 6 weeks, and if they are not meeting up, what is the problem? We now revisit the plan and look at it, and
we know you are an institution. You really a lot to have a lot to tell. But I think that is the much time can permit us on today's edition on Political Update. We hope to see you some other time to give further advice for the development of the Niger Delta region, especially now that we have a new man on the seat. Thank you very much once again, Freedom Akene, former member Projects Monitoring Committee of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC. Thank you very much, viewers out there, for being part of today's edition. Hope to see you next time, God's willing.